So the next step in the 359 clone is going to be figuring out how exactly to do the telescoping arm. Some issues that need to be solved more immediately. How exactly we're going to attach bearings to the arms to ensure that there's smooth motion. And then also another one to be thinking about is how the extension will actually be powered. This is the 2910 version of the ARM from 2023, which is kind of like the original version of this ARM in modern FRC. Um, Built onto it is, of course, the giant number 35 chain pivot spur gear. It's got some bearings for rotation and then structurality in that. And then it also has two Falcon 500s, which actually power the extension. Um, I believe using cascade rigging, which is what all these pulleys have to do with. Um, yeah, obviously you can use Krakens, and you don't have to use two Falcons, um, though it's probably recommended, um, at least for less experience running a nearly identical setup. Regardless, um, yeah. So first things first, the biggest problem or most apparent problem to be um, supporting the arm and making sure that it has the right bearings. Um, yeah, we have a shaft diameter of 3/8. They are, I don't know what the outer diameter is like half an inch, and the inner diameter is 3/8 inch, which is about what a 1032 bolt is. Um, so yeah, there's probably other ways to find it, but yeah. Um, and so 2910 here has integrated kind of like these side plates for multiple things. Um, they have constant force springs, which are these things, and then also on this it has constant force springs for the arms, um, as well as some rigging pulleys with tinier bearings on them. Um, and then it also has the main bearings used to contact against the outer surface. Um, and they're using some smaller bolts. I believe that these are like 832s or something like that. Or oh, they're number fours. Okay. Um, yeah. So small bolts, but there's a decent quantity of them. Um, yeah. Could probably go with 1032s, just for extra security, but that may not fit. So we'll have to see. Um, so yeah, and then let's also take a look at what stock they're using as well, because be another important thing. So okay, so that's not a full side. Okay, 3 inch, 3 inch, and then I'm guessing the next stage is like 2.5. Measure that real quick. Nope, nope. And there we go. Basically 2.5. So it goes three, 2.5, and then two for the inner stage, which I believe is what we're using. 359 is running 4 inch for whatever reason as their outermost stock. Um, they might have a slightly larger end effector, so that could potentially be a reason why they're running that rather than um, this size. Um, yeah, and then also the rigging is a little bit different. So as I said, it was Cascade rigged, and what that looks like. All right. And what that would look like is cut away real quick. You can see that the um, this middle stage right here is driven by the main pulley belt, similar to um, the the same stage on our elevator this year. And then additionally, you can see a little cable has been run um, kind of adjacent to it. It looks not quite in the middle, but like close-ish. And that's how you get the cascade um, style. It looks very complicated to assemble. Um, so there's a decent amount more of components that could potentially fail without you realizing it. So, um, yeah, continuous is probably what we'll end up doing, or we'll just have, or we'll go simple and have a um, winch sort of offset, and then route it through here. And you could gear that up to get near equal speeds, using probably one motor for simplicity. Um, but yeah, so that's just another important thing to consider. We're doing that, and they also have the constant force springs. Technically, with this style of cascade, you actually don't need constant force springs. A lot of elevator manufacturers will offer them regardless. There were no constant force springs on our elevator this year, um, but they will be needed for um, the the off-season arm. Additionally, it looks like they are using 16th inch on their innermost stage, and then looking at various other logistical aspects, um, the bolts that secure these bearings on, I'm not exactly sure what they are. Ultra low profile, probably shoulder bolts, um, quarter inch width. So basically quarter 20.875-inch shoulder bolts. Those will end up working for these kinds of bearings. A little spacer in there, or shim, I guess, whatever you want to call it. Um, yeah. And then additionally, the way that they would run wiring up to the arm, which is something that we'll also have to solve, which shouldn't be too difficult, is by running a cable chain, basically from right about there, and then they have it. Well, they have it kind of wound like that, and it's on a constant force spring, so it has flex, a little bit of flex that you're not damaging the components and stuff. And it looks like they also have this little custom piece to ensure that it's actually getting around, um, and routing properly and not just kind of like going everywhere and breaking. So interesting to see. Um, yeah. And then you can also go to their um, Chief Delphi page. It has a lot of information on, rebuild that 359 did originally. Um, so, yeah. So, yeah. So if you're looking for information on how this was done, you can go to here. Everything else will be pretty much the same. And then that's all for really the arm, I guess, other than they're using a 3D printed pulley, probably on like a Mark Forge using Onyx, which is a stronger material than normal PLA, I believe. And they have this West Coast Products um, or Thrifty Bot hex insert. West Coast Products sells the exact same thing. So it may be interesting to look into using that. Um, yeah. And that's pretty much it for this. Um, as for as for the pivot, that's for a little later. But this is an Andy Mark um, number 35 chain sprocket. The bolt pattern actually already exists, so they just use that to pivot the arm using some pretty neat custom blocks. Um, yeah, and then they're, as you can see, they have a really neat pivot, which is just like some sort of tube. So that's pretty cool. Um, yeah, and it's just custom pocketed to reduce unnecessary weight. So maybe interesting to try that. It already has the holes, so might as well take some weight. And yeah, but it's actually going to be pretty important um, to first sketch this out. This is what 2910 originally did. I have the specifications of the bearings that we'll use, but we're going to make this design parametric so that anything we want about basically anything having to do with this telescoping tube can be changed using the global variables. And I'll show you how to do that in parts from a sketch, which will be really neat. So yeah, but yeah, and then also if you go to 2910 Cat and Tech Binder release 2023 on Chief Delphi, you can find actually the entire robot CAD. It's actually really cool. It goes into the details about everything else, and you can take a really in-depth look into pretty much everything else, which is sick. It shows, yeah, make these transparent real quick, and you can see that they are in fact using 4 Falcons on the pivot, which gives it a lot of torque um, and makes it go really quickly. And you can look at a whole bunch of other things as well. But just to kind of get an idea for stuff, um, and you know the kind of construction that was used. Obviously, this is not legal, so it'll be important to use use wraparound bumpers and keep that in mind when designing for ground intake. Uh, yeah, and also it's a slightly larger chassis. I believe this is potentially. Okay, so not too large of a difference. I believe I'll have to take a look real quick. I think we were 27. Yeah. So they're like 3/4 of an inch larger lengthwise.